When I first started having back problems, very little was known how a person with sore back could exercise at all, let alone how they could strengthen
the popping sound is just air or nitrogen gas rushing into the joint.
Because all the conventional way sit-ups, again, I mind you, was bothering my back.
Tony is a former competitive Olympic-style weightlifter and powerlifter who, over the course of his competitive career, sustained a range of back injuries, culminating in a stress fracture to his lower back. Tony suffered for many years, and although the final solution would come surgically, it was these years of suffering that put him on a mission to stop the pain and regain the active, athletic lifestyle he was used to. During this time, Tony's sheer determination and innovative nature resulted in the invention of exercises for the lower back and stomach. Tony's success is due to his innovative exercises, and it's these exercises, along with the methodology for using them, which we'll show you on this program.
Lots of people might ask questions, well, I don't have a back problem, should I watch this video? My answer is yes. This is not just for people who are coming from the back injury, it's for people who don't have a back injury, because this video is going to show you not just, like I said, rehabilitation, but also prevention. You're going to learn positions, how to sleep, stretching exercises. You're going to learn how to exercise the properly stomach and lower back muscles. So yes, it is important for everybody. When injury happens, then you know step by step what to do, how to get over that. It doesn't matter if injury happened by a car accident, at work, sport injury, by just fall. Remember always, consult with your physician first. He or she will be able to tell you what or kind of program you are eligible for.
Tony's methods work. They not only worked for him, but for the many other people who have helped along the way. Tony succeeded, and you can succeed too. Now let's talk back.
I was invited to Honolulu. That was 1982. I was 2 years after the back operation. There was the international powerlifting competition, and again, I said I was invited like a guest. I met lots of American lifters there. They was all very interested in my fracture, how I broke my back, about the surgery I had, about the exercise I invented, the bench I had built for it. One of the guys, he mentioned another lifter's name, and he told me this guy is supposed to have been lifting in this competition, but couldn't be present because he had very seriously herniated disc. I was on crutches, couldn't even walk. He asked me, do you think would this exercise help him with his herniated disc? I said, herniated disc, it will definitely help him. So he asked me how he should do this exercise, how this exercise, I explained to him how I do that, the bench I had built. So I said, he can do it almost on anything, right? He turn around on the regular hyperextension, whatever. Anyway, this guy passed this exercise on to this guy, and quite a few years later, I saw in the magazine that this guy had his own equipment, a reverse hyperextension bench built on a version of my exercise. I was making the claims how much that exercise helped him. I'm glad this exercise helped him because it helped lots of others, and I hope through this program I can help even more people to help them with their backs.
My name is Dan Claus, and I've known Tony since the late 70s. And like Tony, I was very much into powerlifting for many years. We traveled to Hawaii at that time, also by the invitation of Gus Ruthwich. In any event, we were over there, and Tony's absolutely right. We were always watching these interesting exercises he was doing because of his lower back problems. And of course, we seen him go through the surgery, and we all figured, Tony's finished. That's it. He's done. But he invented these exercises. He started to use them, and we saw him use them just with plates originally, and then he eventually designed a machine. And when we were over in Hawaii, we did meet with Fred Hatfield. He really showed a particular interest in what Tony was doing with lower back exercises, especially given the injuries that Tony had, because they were essentially, not only can they be career-ending, they can be life-threatening. And you can very easily end up in a wheelchair with these type of injuries. And Tony was nice enough to actually give him the full instruction on how to use this exercise to carry forward to this other individual who Tony has mentioned. We were all very surprised, of course, when we saw the machinery being manufactured and the claims that were being made.
Hi there, my name is Mick Sahota. I'm the original manager with Universal Olympic Gym in Vancouver through the 70s. Tony was first, came upon our gym probably about 1974, I think, to check my black book and see when he signed up. It's probably back in 74. And Tony was a pioneer in the Olympic style lifting and powerlifting regime, and we watched him do a lot of different exercises, and we shook our head and wondering what he was doing and this and that. And so a few times he'd asked me to help him out, spot him on a few exercises, and it was a hyper back type exercise. And I weighed about 155 at that time, so I was probably one of the lighter guys, the lightweight guys. And so for his warm-ups, he'd get me on the back of his calves doing these hypers or whatever. So, Mick, don't worry, just get on there and do it. And I followed what he told me to do. And like I said, he was way ahead of his time on many of these exercises. This exercise that he did develop, he is the pioneer. He started it all.
Yeah, my name's Jerry Carson, retired captain from Vancouver Fire Department. Known Tony since late 70s, and Tony came, I guess, around 1979, late 79, and he brought this high bench that he used to do these reverse hyper extensions. And since I knew him, he used to always get me to help him load the plates on his ankles there and help him up onto the machine because it was sort of high and that, so that he's had a hard job getting up there by himself, so he'd usually get us guys to give him a hand in that. And it was amazing that how his back was so strong.
I want to tell you what happened one day. This guy, his name is John, coming towards me, it's at work, and he's all twisted. I say, hey, John, what happened? You hurt your back? He said, yeah, I threw my back out playing golf. I said, did you go see the chiropractor? He said, no, I don't have the time to see the chiropractor. I said, well, okay, you should go see the chiropractor sometime, 1 to 3 treatments, and you're okay. But I asked him, can you even bend down and touch your toes? He said, no, I cannot bend down. He said, first of all, he was in the pain. And secondly, he said, I'm like that all the time. I can bend mostly past only touching my knees. I said, I tell you this is biggest your problem. You are very stiff. I will show you some exercises for the how to stretch the lower back. So we went over the exercises: knee bend stretch, bottom the hamstring stretch, inner thigh stretch, outer thigh stretch, right at work on the forklift. I went with this guy through all his exercises for about 5-6 minutes. At the end of the 6 minutes, this guy said, Jesus, Tony, yeah, it feels already, all started getting better. He was so excited. I said, you see, this is it. Now, you're gonna be sitting on the forklift all day. That doesn't mean that it's gonna get better. You gotta get off the forklift periodically, because while you're sitting on that forklift, you're gonna get stiffer again. And keep stretching. Keep doing all these exercises. Tonight, morning when you get up, keep stretching. If you have a time, make a visit to the chiropractor. Speed up your recovery. If you don't, yes, you're gonna get better, but you gotta keep doing the stretching movements. Kim, I want to give you a demonstration why all-around conditioning is very important, and all the exercises which put stress on the lower back should be temporarily avoided until back is well conditioned. You see this guy squatting?
Is that because of poor style or poor technique?
No, this guy has one leg stronger than the other, on one side of the lower back stronger than the other, or both.
Why is that?
You see, Kim, we are all right-handed or left-handed, okay? When we do the certain physical jobs, we actually unknowingly strengthening certain muscle groups more than other muscle groups, or in other words, we strengthening one side of the body more than another side of the body. And this is the exact result of this, how this guy is squatting. What's happened there, one side is compensating for the other. I would put a guy like this on a very good conditioning program and avoid all the exercises like is this one before he's going to hurt his back. The program would be a leg press, leg extension, and empty squats for lower body. For stomach, I would put stomach crunch sit-up, and for lower back, a reversal leg raise hyperextension movement. Of course, for upper body, I would mostly use the machines where he doesn't put any stress on the lower back. Today, you have machines there which are like by Apex or other Canadian American companies, and you can basically work out all the muscle groups without putting any stress on the lower back.
My name is Sergio Bevilacqua. I eventually became Canadian champion in weightlifting in 1983.
My name is Larry Burke, and I'm an ex-national champion in Olympic weightlifting, and was on the national team for years. I met Tony in probably 1975 when he first came to the original Olympic gym, which was one of the best gyms ever in Canada. And I remember I was an Olympic lifter trying to make the national team. That was my dream. And this guy shows up who was one of the most impressive physical specimens I'd ever seen in a lifetime of training with guys who thought they were good. And he was so strong, and he taught me a lot of exercises to really increase the strength of my lower back. And I learned from Tony that he was doing these exercises because he had a bad back. But he would do other exercises where he would do a reverse hyper where he would be putting weights on tying them to his legs, and they'd be falling off, and he'd be frustrated. He'd be hanging on his legs, going up and down, thinking, damn, Tony, this is a waste of my time. But he would use like your body weight and weights on top. You'd be holding weights and sitting on his legs, and you'd be going up and down on the reverse hyper. And I mean, it was amazing.
You wouldn't really realize what a feat it was. Like if you just watch somebody do something and you see an amount of muscle on them, it just makes sense that that weight goes with that exercise. But when you got to a point where you felt you were a fairly strong individual, and you thought, geez, I'm going to try Tony's exercise now, and couldn't do any weight, then you thought, holy smokes, I don't have any strength there, like zero compared to that, where you may be 4 or 5 times stronger than a normal individual, but that one exercise that allowed him to continue with all the things that he did just showed you how far ahead he was from everyone else. Oh. When you go do an exercise and you have to get everything ready, like, we would see him putting the hyperextension or the gravity boots and rig up a bar that goes through and put plates up and tie things up so it doesn't fall.
Everywhere, It could be such a hoot, and guys would be looking at him like, he's nuts, And yet, these were the things he had to do to continue to train, and he was so passionate about training that's what, to me, it was an inspiration for me with a good back. If this guy can do this with a bad back, what can I do?
I don't want to, it's a simple motion, but unless you had a specific injury or thing happen to you, you would have never been directed to that area to come up with that kind of idea, right? So I think in that way, he was probably very much ahead of his time to come up with this exercise of, what later was described as a reverse leg raise and hyperextension. As I think the exercise took longer, Tony's head just continued to go with, geez, how can we streamline this to make it, something somebody can do on their own. I can get the weights that I need to get and anybody accessible, because not everybody's going to climb up to a bench and hang on to it and carry all this stuff with them. One of the things that I felt about his machine, I thought it was a very important thing to add to my club when I eventually bought it in the mid-'80s, is his reverse hyper bench. I asked Tony if I could come and measure the old bench, and if he'd mind if I put it in my gym, and I told people about it for years. It doesn't really matter if you're a weightlifter. It's just a very wise exercise for anybody in life to do, period. Just as important as sit-ups or squats or anything else.
I want to tell you a story. What happened about 22 years ago, husband and wife came to me, asked me if I could train his wife. I said, okay. She asked me, what is the best leg developer and butt developer? I told her back squats. She said, I want to do this exercise. I told her, Donna, you're not ready for that exercise. I'm going to put you on proper conditioning program, and when you condition, we're going to slide nicely into it, okay? So she goes along with this. I check her strength level. This girl never exercised in her life. Her midsection, stomach, lower back was extremely weak, but I mean weak. Her program contains leg press, leg extension, and empty squat. For midsection, stomach crunch, and lower back reverse hyperextension. We are into the program in two weeks, and she tells me when I'm gonna squat with weight. She's seen the other girls in the gym squatting, and she wanna do that exercise. I said, Donna, you're not ready. She said, no, I'm ready, I wanna do that. I told her, listen, you don't build a house overnight. What builders do when they build a house? They build a foundation first, and then they pile the house on top of it. Am I right? She said, yes. I told her, think of your midsection, stomach and lower back, as that foundation. That foundation supports all your upper body plus the weight added. If you want to squat, which is not safe exercise, you're asking for injury, and I'm not gonna go that way. So she say, okay. Another week go by, and she tells me again, I want to squat, I'm ready. I said, no, Donna, I'm not gonna do it this way. Have a patience, you're gonna be okay. She goes behind my back, she asked another personal trainer, and he obviously agrees, and he said, yeah, you ready, you can squat. She comes to me, she say, John said, it's okay, I'm ready to squat, so he's gonna take over. I said, fine, just be careful. What happened was, week, 2 weeks time, she comes to me, she said, I'm squat already so much, and when I seen her squatting, I see how she's swaying her back, and she told me, I squat 185 pounds. I saw one time, she's doing a squat, and her back was just, as soon as she picks the weight up, swayed to the side, and I saw the nightmare unfolding in front of my eyes. And I come, when she was finished, I come to the her personal trainer. I said, hey John, watch it, this girl is gonna hurt her back. She's not ready to do that exercise. He said, don't worry, I get it under control. She's okay. That was the last time I seen the girl. 2 months went by. She comes back to the gym, and she goes straight for me, and she said, I said, hey, how you been? I haven't seen you for a while. I thought she was working out different days, right? And she said, no, Tony, you know what happened? I hurt my back. And I look at her and I say, squatting, right? She said, yes. Tony, you was right. I should have listened to you. When I hurt my back, they had to carry me out of the gym in the ambulance to the hospital. And next day was even worse. I couldn't even get up off the bed. She said, I never was in so much pain in my life like when I got injured this time. She said, I was in the pain for about 6 weeks, and my back is still not like it was before. And that was the last time I seen her. And what I want to say is that you see how conditioning is important. That goes for people who exercise or people who don't exercise. When you want to strengthen your lower back, when you want to do, you got to do it right. Avoid all the exercises, all the activities which put stress on that lower back while you are conditioning. And once you condition that midsection, stomach, lower back, then you basically can glide into a nice strengthening program, and you get actually slide into those exercises like a squat and other exercises. It is just temporary. It's important to condition. Conditioning is a prevention. And this is what I always preach to all the people I put on the program.
Tony, why is it that most people will experience some form of back problems in their lifetime?
Kim, it comes to conditioning, plain and simple. People simply lack the strength in their lower back and stomach muscles to keep their backs healthy. Muscles in those two areas can need to be strengthened and kept strong to reduce the stress on skeletal structure of lower back.
So what you're saying then is to simply strengthen the muscles of the lower back and stomach?
Yes, that's correct, but that is the tricky part, how the person with sore back goes about strengthening these muscles, okay? When I first started having back problems, very little was known how a person with sore back could exercise at all, let alone how they could strengthen the muscles in the area where the pain was generated.
Well then, how do you do it?
As a competitive athlete living with the pain in my back, I learned on my own to exercise around my injury, first experimenting and creating exercises on manual equipment using plain and simple common sense. For example, when I tried to do exercise, when it was bothering my back, I simply tried a different approach. This is how I invented new exercise for the stomach and lower back.
Tell me first about how you started inventing your stomach exercises.
I call this exercise stomach crunch or stomach crunch sit-up. Those days, all the conventional stomach exercises was like a Roman chair sit-up, slant board sit-up, leg raises, knee crunch was bothering my back. So I use the same principle, what I learned from first orthopedic specialist, Dr. Falney, who showed me that proper position to sleep, to rest my back during the night. And one of those positions was sleeping on my back on the firm bed, legs bent to 45-degree angle and resting them on the high cushion. Mm-hmm. So to mimic that position, I lay down on the floor, position my legs over the bench, and at first I was able to lift only my head and the shoulders, keeping small of the back continuously with the floor, on the floor. And eventually, over the period of time, I was able to do full sit-ups.
What exercise did you use to strengthen the lower back?
Kim, I call this exercise reverse or leg raise hyperextension. And I give you the brief history behind this exercise, okay? During the 1976, I was living with complete fracture in my lower back.
Your back was broken?
Yes, I had a fracture in my lower back in one of the vertebrae, and I was living with continuous pain in my back. That time I didn't have a knowledge of gravity boots, which allow you to hang upside down and decompress the spine. But we had in the gym this very high bench where on one side was used for dips, another side was used for Roman chair sit-up, right? So I came on this bench just to experiment if I can stretch my back there, right? So I'm hanging there, sway my legs from side to side, and then, I decided to lift one leg straight back up just to see how my back is gonna feel. So I did that movement, it felt okay, so I repeated the same movement with my another leg. Again, looking if I feel any pain. Again, it was okay, so this time I lift both of the legs straight back up, left it there for about a couple of seconds. When I felt it was okay, I repeated the same movement, done same thing again, and when I was satisfied, I started doing repetitions. That day, I done 3 sets of very high repetitions. And I tell you, my back felt pumped. All the pain and ache was completely gone out of my back. Of course, within 2 hours, gradually when the muscles started to relax, the ache came back. But I knew I had an exercise which I felt that maybe it's gonna even heal my back. In order to make my back stronger, because I always felt stronger, the back, more support it's gonna give me, I start using all kind of resistance.
That is very interesting, Tony, but did this exercise actually heal the fracture in your back?
Kim, it couldn't heal the fracture in my back. I show you on the model of the spine, okay? You see these little bones which go around the spinal cord? Here's the spinal cord. In medical terms, they called posterior process. They was broken right off the vertebra. When that happened, vertebra body here slid, or medical terms, subluxed forward. Now, another problem which I had, see the disc down below was completely degenerated. When x-rays taken in extension show the body of the vertebra, this body was actually sitting and touching the bottom vertebra. It was bone on bone. There's no exercise, Kim, which could heal back like this. But what this exercise done for me during the 4 years, remember I was 4 years living with the fracture in my back, I was able to keep very strong and thick muscle around my lower back, so I was able to cope with daily living. I was working, I was exercising. Of course, I was extremely restricted because any jolt, any jar hurt or injured my back.
What kind of surgery did you have?
I had what they call lumbar fusion, okay, and that was done in Mayo Clinic, Rochester, Minnesota.
What did the doctors say when they saw your back?
That time when doctor and medical staff walked into my room, doctor was saying, Tony, anybody with fracture in the back like you have would be probably incapable of walking, never mind exercising. He said, what did you do? I don't understand it. the muscle which you had around the lower back, I never seen in my life on anybody in my entire practice, right? And he goes, you know, that thick muscle was responsible for you doing as well before the surgery. So I explained to him, you know, and medical staff, I said, explained the exercise I was doing, the bench I had built for that exercise. I tell you, they was very interested and surprised because it was unbelievable. Anybody with back like that was able to walk.
So after surgery, did you go to physiotherapy or rehab?
Actually, you know, I discussed it with the doctor and he felt because I done so well prior to the surgery, you know, he felt that I have all the tools to apply in the rehabilitation. And we discussed it. He said, I think you can rehabilitate completely on your own. And so that's what I did. I done rehabilitation complete on my own.
Did you encounter any problems at all with your rehabilitation process?
Kim, yes, I did. After doctor gave me the green light to go ahead and start rehabilitating, I started doing my exercise. And at that time, I noticed when I started doing my leg raise hyperextension, my right side was more painful than the left side, and it was twisted. My right hip was twisted towards the floor. There was just simply no strength at all. So what I done, I phoned the doctor next day and fill him in what's happening. And in his words, he said, you know, Tony, that's probably because when I cut through your back, I had to cut into the right side to get to the hip bone, where I took a piece of bone with which I fuse lumbar 3 to lumbar 4. But that should resolve with the rehabilitation. Pain should go away and it should come back, right?
Did it come back?
Yes, it did. You know, what I did afterwards, I went back to the gym and I basically just kept that right side up as best as I could. I fought with it, right? Over a period of time, it's even out. Then after time, when I introduced another exercise into my rehabilitation program, I started, what I done, regular hyperextension, what I use is broomstick put behind my head. And when I started doing that exercise, I was nice and even with the floor. When muscles start to fatigue, the right side gradually dip towards the floor. But again, I fought, you know, keeping that right side up as best as I could. And over a period of time, it caught up with my left side.
How is your back today?
Kim, my back is excellent, completely pain-free. And I tell you, couldn't feel any better. And I've been helping, I'm passing this exercise on lots of other guys, lifters, you know, athletes and non-athletes. And I help with this exercise a number of people. Before my team and I will demonstrate to you complete methodology how to get rid of back pain, I want to caution all those who want to start this program to consult it with their physician first. This program in no way is meant to eliminate need for medical expertise, okay? Ideally, you should consult with your physician first, and as you progress with the program, let him know how you're doing. Now, let me and my team demonstrate to you everything from sleeping position, stretching exercise for lower back, stomach exercises, and lower back exercises. Let's go. When I used to suffer with my own back problems, I used to see lots of orthopedic specialists, chiropractors, and physiotherapists. First questions I was asked, and you would be asked if you have a back problem, is your back worse morning when you're getting up or evening before you go to bed? If answer is your back is actually worse morning, then next questions I was asked, and you would be asked, is do you sleep on the firm bed? How's your mattress? Is it firm? If answer is no, advice to you is get yourself a, first of all, firm mattress. So back can rest on the firm mattress way more than sleeping on something soft mattress or sofa. Next question, do you sleep on sometime on your stomach? Yes, I used to sleep on the stomach. If you have a sore back, pain in the lower back, doesn't matter if it's minor or very severe, avoid sleeping on the stomach, period. Why is that? Is if you sleep on the stomach, small of the back, if you notice, sinks towards the mattress. And what actually is happening here, you compressing the lumbar area. If there is the pain or discomfort, there is inflammation and muscle spasm. That's the reason when you wake up morning, your back is worse, because you're actually compounding your problem. You're not resting your back as you should. So avoid sleeping on the stomach. Another position which you shouldn't sleep, and I was told that by the doctors and chiropractors and therapists all over again, don't sleep flat on your back. Why is that again? Is if you sleep with sore back flat on your back, body's got a high points as a buttocks and upper body, shoulder blades. Now, the midsection are lower back. If you look at somebody who be laying on the table in a doctor's office or on the floor, you notice the back curves upwards. So same thing, again, you compounding your problem, you compressing the lumbar area so that back cannot rest properly during the night. This is what I was told and what you would be told by any therapist, doctor or chiropractor. Now, proper positions how to sleep. First position is to sleep flat on your back, again on the firm bed, with legs bent to 45-degree angle and resting them on the high cushions or pillow. Now, if you have a very severe injury to the back, the higher you have a legs, it's actually better for you, as I experienced myself from my own past. Now, if you notice, your lower back is nicely aligned with your hips. It's nice and straight. Now your back can get good rest during the night of sleep. Matter of fact, I was told by one of the orthopedic specialists, first one, Dr. Farney, who told me your back actually rests 4 times better like this during the night than if you're sleeping flat on your back. Another good position to sleep is when you sleep on the side, you keep your legs elevated, bent to the stomach as far as you can go, having a pillow or cushion stuck between your knees and thighs. Of course, have a pillow under the head so it's nicely aligned with the spine. And if you sleep on your right side, hug another pillow on your left arm. A reason for that is, if you don't have that pillow, your shoulder drops towards the mattress and you're actually twisting your lower back. Now, if you're healthy, it means nothing. But if you have a very severely injured back, or if you're after back operation, you're gonna notice all those points which I'm giving you are very beneficial and very helpful. Also, I want to point out here, and this I learned on myself when I had my back very badly injured, and especially after my lumbar fusion, was that when I was sleeping on the side, after a while I had lots of burning in my lower back also. I felt there was also stress being put on my back. So knowing all this knowledge how I'm supposed to sleep, I realized that my small of the back is sinking towards the bed. So what I done is I roll up the pillow and stuck it right past my hip into the waist area between hip and the torso. And this way I was able to align my lower back nicely with my hips and upper back. And I get the best results of it sleeping like that on the side. Now, if you don't have any help getting off the bed when you suffer with very severe back pain, the best way, it's still gonna be painful, but it's the best way to get off the bed by bringing the legs, knees close to the stomach, tightening the stomach as best as you can, push the elbow and the hand to the bed and push yourself upwards, and then you can stand up. Getting down to the sleeping position is basically the same way like you're sitting up. Remember, any type of standing up of the bed is very painful, but this is the best position there is. You might think, well, it might be difficult for me to sleep like that, doing this during the night, I'm not gonna get enough sleep. But remember, if you have a sore back, if you're in pain, it's hard to sleep anyway. And pain won't let you sleep. you have to make it as comfortable as you can. And this is what I'm telling you here, is the best thing what you can do. And believe me, it is just a matter of time, you're gonna get used to it. You have to get your back better, so you have to do all the right things. Sleeping positions are the very, very important. First exercise we're going to show you is how to decompress your lower back by hanging by your ankles upside down. Now, if you have a injured back, or even if your back is okay for maintenance, this exercise is actually excellent. I learned about this exercise through a naturopath. This was actually designed, invented by Dr. Martin from Pasadena, California. When I tried it first time, I tell you, it's a great exercise, how to decompress the lower back. And why to decompress the lower back is a simple reason. If you're standing, walking, whatever we're doing, remember gravity is compressing our spine continuously. Now, if there is the pain in the lower back, there is gonna be inflammation, and there is gonna be muscle spasm in there. First thing what's very important to do is to go to opposite angle, therefore upside down and stretch the area. Sometimes most injuries are usually just muscle, but there could be also herniated discs. And if there is the herniated disc, remember the two vertebrae are actually squishing the disc together, and the disc bulges out. There's lots of nerves pressing on the nerves, and we are in lots of pain. So decompressing the area is absolutely essential. It's very important. So when we hang upside down, we decompress the area, creating some room. Therefore, inflammation, discomfort or pain we have in the back gradually will go away, and this is what we want to achieve. The best probably bet for majority of people would be getting the inversion table. I see many of them in department stores, back shops. There's all sorts of on the market. They are not necessarily most expensive, it's the best one. I've seen them, I tried them, several of them, and they all do the trick. That's the most important part. We're going to show you another way how to stretch yourself upside down by using just the chin bar. This is for people like me or people who can get on a chin bar themselves. You get hold of the chin bar. All you need is just the ankle boots, and you rotate yourself upwards to the chin bar, hook yourself up and let go, and again, hang upside down, stretch the area. Majority of the people who try this movement first feel the pressure, mostly feel the pressure around their ankles, which is understandable because all your body weight is suspended to it. And believe me, it's just getting used to it. That's all what it is. You're gonna get used to it. It just takes a little while. You gotta keep doing it. Another way how to get on the chin bar is with assistance. People who cannot get on the chin bar themselves, they can get somebody who can assist them by standing with them. All they do is just hold to the chin bar with their hands, and somebody helps them to bring their legs upwards and hook their legs on the chin bar, and then they let go and decompress their lower back. Another option which I can demonstrate to you is, this is the latest way how to get on a chin bar. I call this Gravity Rack Plus. This rack allows the person to actually climb up to the chin bar on their own, hook themselves up, and then decompress their lower back. Getting up is again very simple. You can position the handles where you want it. If you cannot get back to the chin bar, you hold the handles and climb up down again. For those who cannot even do that, there is another way where you're using the straps and you hook your elbows into the straps, climb up there, which is easiest, then hook yourself up and let go. For rehabilitation, hang upside down, this exercise should be done between 1 to 3 times daily. Duration of time, several minutes at a time, even longer if you can do it. Now for maintenance, hang upside down, you can do 2-3 times a week, what's suitable for you. Lots of people wonder why they are so stiff, why they have a pain or discomfort in the lower back. A reason for that is, many people, they don't stretch at all. Over a period of time, or even the years, they gradually lose flexibility. What happened, muscle becomes shorter and shorter. Now suddenly we're experiencing lower back pain, discomfort. Lots of people associate that with getting older. Not at all. You have some older people who are very flexible because they work on their flexibility. Basically what happens is the muscle becomes stiff and rigid like this piece of rope which is to the nuts and bolts. Now what we need to do, gradually stretch those muscles so they become elastic and flexible like this is a rubber band again. By this, when we stretch all the muscles of the thighs, which is connected to our lower back, hip joint open up, there's the more space, we become more flexible, pain and discomfort in the lower back disappear. Okay, let's do the little test. For those who have a back pain, they cannot bend, avoid this test. For those who don't have a pain or they can bend down, they have some pain but they can bend down, you put your legs together, knees straight, and bend down if you can reach your toes. For those who cannot reach their toes, they go maybe to their knees or past their knees. I can tell right off the bat, you are stiff like a stump. You're gonna work on your flexibility. First stretch would be a bent knee stretch. You put a leg on the chair or the table as far as you can go and bring the hip close toward the heel. Now you hold it there for maybe 20-30 seconds, even longer, and then relax. Then repeat that movement again, back and forth. Then switch the legs. Now we're going to show you how to stretch 3 muscle groups on the thigh. Bottom of the thigh, hamstrings, inner thigh, and outer thigh at the same time. You find yourself an elevated surface, the ideally probably would be the best around the hip joint, so your heel is about that level. It doesn't matter if it's on the desk, if it's on the table, wherever you are. Now, for those who have a little bit more back pain, they can go with the heel a bit lower, start there. Now, first you bend the knee, bring your head and torso close to the knee as possible. Remember, there's gonna be some discomfort or pain in the lower back, and pulling on the thigh, on the bottom of the thigh. Now, gradually, slowly straighten the knee as best as you can and hold it there for 20-30 seconds. And then relax. Repeat this movement back and forth. Now, on the inner thigh, what we do is we rotate the torso on the inside. By rotating the torso inside, again, we apply the pressure for 20-30 seconds. We're gonna feel the pulling in the groin area on the inside of the thigh. Again, same movement, 20-30 seconds, hold it there, then relax, and back and forth. Then we turn the torso to the outside, to the other side. By this, we're stretching the thigh on the outside. Same process, again, apply pressure, 20-30 seconds, hold it there, and then relax, back and forth. Then we go to the other leg. Now, this exercise can be basically done almost anywhere. It can be done on the, like I said, on the table, on the desk, in the park, whatever. I like it, what I really like this exercise to do on the stairwell. This is really excellent. Why is that? Because you can support yourself nicely with your hands on the stair, as you see here, and you know, stretch the bottom of the thigh, inner thigh, and outer thigh. It's actually excellent. The matter of fact, it's easier than do it straight on the ground, especially for somebody who's got a little bit more back pain. Some athletes, they can do it down on the ground, but if you got too much of a pain in the lower back, it would be very difficult to get down to the ground. So I would start what's really comfortable for you. There are also the other exercises for inner and outer thigh, which we're going to show you here, which you can also do. Just see what's most comfortable for you and work at them at your pace. Let me show you a couple of exercises which are for the hips, outside of the thigh and lower back. You can do this first thing in the morning when you wake up. You bend the legs, you put one leg, say one of the leg's ankle behind the other leg knee, and press now with this ankle on the knee towards that side till you rotate all the way down to the bed or the floor. You can also assist yourself with one arm, pressing on the knee, that knee towards the bed or towards the floor. Now, at the same time, now you rotate up other way around by pushing your knee on the ankle. So you rotate the other way around. And again, you can assist yourself with other arm, pressing on that knee from other side, pulling it down towards the bed or the floor. Then switch the legs. Other exercise which is very similar is you keeping the ankle behind the knee, okay? Bring the ankle closer down to the body, more past the knee, close on the thigh. Now, if you have a, say, for example, one, say, left leg over the right knee, grab your ankle with your right hand, pulling it towards you, and with your left hand, push on the knee away from you. This way, you're creating nicely space in the hip joint. Now, at the same time, just hold it there and rotate your torso towards where your elbow is, towards the floor or the bed. And then again, hold it there. This way you get a nice stretch also to the left side of your lower back. Then switch the legs. Remember, again, do that at your own speed, gradually. Lots of people, they are over a period of years very stiff. They lose their mobility because they haven't done anything. All those stretches are essential in stretching and releasing the pressure in your lower back. I would also recommend stretches in the whirlpool or jacuzzi. When you are in the hot water, you stretch way better. It is not just if you have a back discomfort, but also for people, just for maintenance. Keep a flexibility for prevention. So keep doing all these exercises. This is what I would suggest to any athlete or non-athlete. Now we're going to show you 2 exercises for the stomach. When I used to suffer with my back problems myself, and my back was actually broken, and other athletes, I remember when they had back problems, they all complain, including me, that conventional way sit-ups was actually aggravating their backs. I came up with the exercise for the stomach, which I will demonstrate to you. But first of all, let me show you one of the exercises which is actually excellent for the stomach while you hang upside down, and learn this exercise through the inversion table, which was passed on to me by a naturopath and actually invented by Dr. Martin from Pasadena, California. It was you hang upside down, doesn't matter if it's on the inversion table or chin bar, and all you do is try to relax and lift your head and shoulders up only a little bit, even just a very, very little bit. If there is too much of a pain in the lower back, do very gradually, slow movements. Again, I want to remind you, discuss this with your physician, and he or she will be able to tell you if you are a candidate, if you can do this exercise or not. Myself, I know this exercise is absolutely essential, and it's excellent in rehabilitation of lower back. And this exercise is very good for the stomach. It's one of the, I would say, better exercises how to strengthen the stomach. And I would recommend that to any athlete out there who want to strengthen the stomach to do this movement. So first of all, lift head and shoulders up, and in gradual repetition. Now, you can start with 3 sets of 10 repetitions. You can build up. It's good to build up on very, very high repetitions. And eventually, as discomfort and pain goes away, or if your back is already good, you can start adding the weight there. I used to do this exercise, and I still do this exercise by holding to the bar, and you can even add some weight on the bar and pushing it up your thighs, past your knees. You're gonna notice the tremendous burn and pump in your stomach. Very good exercise for the stomach. Another exercise I want to show you for the stomach, which I came around with when I used to suffer with my fractured back, because all the conventional way sit-ups, again, I mind you, was bothering my back. I lay down on the floor, put my feet over the bench, and I start lifting only my head and my shoulders up. Over a period of time, as my back got gradually better, start feeling better, I could do the full sit-ups. Eventually, I was able to do the sit-ups with weight behind my neck or on front of my chest. Excellent exercise for the stomach. Now we're going to show exercises for lower back. Again, first of all, before anybody's gonna start doing this exercise, consult with your physician. He or she should be able to tell you if you are a candidate to proceed with this exercise. I know from my experience, I'm a living proof of it, this exercise works. I pass this exercise on a number of other lifters and non-lifters and help them with their lower back. I know this is the exercise for strength and lower back without putting any pressure on the lumbars. This is called reverse or leg raise hyperextension. First of all, let me demonstrate to you how to do this exercise manually without a machine. Lots of people think they need to do this exercise, how much this machine costs, and I told them that you don't need to buy these machines. You know, if your gym doesn't have it, fine. You can do it in the gym on a regular hyperextension bench, which I will demonstrate to you here, or some other equipment like a high desk, high table home. All you need to just put some pillow under the hips because it can be a little bit uncomfortable as the table will be digging into your hips. This is called Backmaster One. This is by Apex Fitness Equipment. There are also other Canadian companies and American companies who produce this type of equipment. I tried several of them, they are all pretty good. Another way also is Gravity Rack Plus, which is newest addition to exercise program. And there's the little attachment to it, which you attach to the Rack Plus. And then you can do reverse or leg raise hyperextensions, how it's demonstrated. Again, remember, you don't use any weight at the beginning. There's no point in it. Most people, even when they don't have an injury to the lower back, they very weak on it. People are very poorly conditioned. That's the reason why majority of the people have back problems, because the stomach and lower back muscles are extremely weak. And what you need to do is to strengthen this area of stomach and lower back with these proper exercises, stomach crunches, eventually stomach crunch sit-ups, and lower back exercises, reverse hyperextension or leg raise hyperextension. This happens over a period of time. Remember, you don't build a house overnight. Those who are athletic, who are in the sport already, for them it's simple. They get over the injury and they get back into the training. For an average person, it's a little bit slower. Take your time. There's no rush. Remember, you were stiff most of your life. You gotta go at it easy. It will happen. I'm not different than you are. I'm the same like anybody else. If I would have a problem, you know, like that, I would be in the same shoes like you are. Only I have this knowledge, which I'm now passing on to you through this video, which I gained in my life, through my life, by being around the chiropractors, physiotherapists, specialists, and I learned lots from those medical professionals, included my exercises, which you see on this video. You know, I suggest to any athletes out there, as I learned it myself when I suffered my back problem, the knowledge what I have today, if I would have any back problems and I would be still in competition, I would definitely apply all the resources are available to me for fastest recovery. That is, I would make a visit to my chiropractor for adjustment, my massage therapy, because remember, well, there is the injury to the lower back, there is also muscle spasm, there's inflammation, there's the pain or discomfort.
The nervous system doesn't like pain, and so if we're walking with pain, the nervous system will try and tighten muscles to prevent that action from taking place. And so then we have the tightness in the connective tissue, and then we've got the pain that is making the muscles tighten and prevent movement as well. And so it's a small surprise that after, you know, a number of injuries and years of compensation, that a person ends up, or the way Tony was demonstrating, walking with these tiny little steps. Because in the joint itself, that's all that's left for movement. The muscles are all tight and in pain. They don't have much movement left in them, and the layers of connective tissue are all glued together. There's not any freedom there either. The skin itself is a layer. It covers over the whole body, and as we move, the moving parts of the body should be able to move inside that skin. And so those layers can be between muscle and bone, between ligaments and bone, between tendons and ligaments, between muscles and ligaments. All these different structures of the body are meant to do their job, but be in proximity to their neighbor and not interfere with the neighbor's function. But through injury or chronic use patterns, those layers get stuck together, and then they interfere with one another. So essentially what happens is the body produces this repair process, this scar tissue, to glue things together. But it doesn't have the capacity to glue just this fiber and just this fiber that were torn. It dumps a whole wheelbarrow load of cement, glues everything together. This is how bodies repair. And then once it's glued together and everything's settled down, the inflammation is left. How we use our body is supposed to break free those structures that aren't supposed to be glued together. The back, as I mentioned, has many layers. And if we say, okay, well, we're going to get all the way down to the spinal layer, which is mostly what chiropractors are working with, to get down to that layer, there's many layers that we work through on our way down. It's pretty common for the back to, on some level, involve the legs and feet. It's our foundation. And if the back isn't being properly supported from down below, then the back has a tendency to hold itself. It can't really set down into and be comfortable and rely on that foundation. And so it'll hold itself. And in that holding, of course, it just braces itself and gets more and more locked up in itself. And it just becomes this cycle of pain, tension, pain, tension. And so if we're going to do the low back, then we're going to want to go down into the glutes, go down into the hamstrings and the calves, the ankles, the feet, and free all that up. My intent is, when working with somebody, is to find those areas that have been glued together and free them up. Now, some of it is done with just direct hand contact, and then some of it's done with hand contact in conjunction with movement. An example being, if I put my hand on somebody's back, and as I'm working the tissue, I get them to reach with their arm or reach with their leg. So they're creating movement inside as I'm creating movement outside, and that's how we get those layers to become free again. And so as we work with the body and we free up those layers of connective tissue, it provides more ease of movement. The muscles then are not being held to protect that movement, and they can relax more. And the nervous system experiences a more pain-free way of moving and eases up and lightens up on the grip that they have on the muscles, so that we can have not just a fuller range, but we can have more strength in how we apply the movements that we're after.
Hi, I'm Dr. Brad Dixon, chiropractor. I practice in Vancouver and have been practicing chiropractic now for 30 years. We manage patients' health through dietary counseling, exercise, adjusting full spine, managing headaches, low back pain, and all sorts of other ailments. Manipulations are very effective, again, for the management of low back pain, along with many other things, and they're very safe as well. Primarily, the largest part of management for low back pain that we manage is what we call uncomplicated mechanical back pain. That is the most significant segment of back pain suffered by the population. Again, a lot of these injuries happen just by mechanical stress from lifting, sitting for extended periods of time, or quite frankly, emotional stress contributes greatly to low back pain as well. Tony has suffered low back pain, Tony, for a long period of time, and have had great success with chiropractic care. And of course, other professions help in the management of those complaints as well. In the adjustment process, you will normally hear a popping sound. Again, the popping sound is just air or nitrogen gas rushing into the joint. There's no pain associated with it. The air or nitrogen gas rushing into the joint is much like that of popping your knuckle. So what we've done is we've restored motion to the mechanical segment of the third and fourth lumbar vertebrae. It was very successful. Jim's going to get up now and tell us he feels much better. Okay. With mechanical back pain like that, depending on its duration, your chiropractic physician or chiropractic doctor would probably suggest that you get a course of care over a short period of time, as these fixations or subluxations or mechanical deficits tend to pattern themselves. And therefore, you'd need a succession of treatments over a short period of time. The chiropractor then will probably suggest some exercises for you to help stabilize and maintain the back, and may even suggest that you get back periodically and maintain the mechanical integrity of your low back, much like you'd maintain the engine of your car. And you might find, depending on your needs, that they may want to see you anywhere between 3 weeks and 3 months, depending on your particular circumstances.
It is very important to remember that while you do all these variety things, sleeping positions, stretching exercises, and core strengthening exercises, that you avoid all the activities which put a stress on lower back, where it cause you pain in any way. Imagine you're driving a car with one foot on the gas pedal, another on the brake pedal. You can't think actually what you want to do. You're slowing down the process, or you're making the matters worse. So it's very important that you stick to only things which you benefit to your lower back and avoid all the activities which aggravate it. This is a period of time. Eventually, gradually, you'll be able to slide to those activities, but there's no rush. Remember, getting better is the most and number one important part. Another thing is, once your back gets better, also what's very important, that doesn't mean my back is better now, I don't have to do anything anymore. That's wrong. For maintenance, keep doing the stretches upside down. You don't have to do them 3 times a day or once a day. Do them here and there. Stretch on daily basis a little bit. Get up morning and stretch. Because again, I want to remind you, if you take a best athlete today and sees him in all his activities, he's going to become stiff over a period of time just like you are. We are just human. This happens. So it's very important to maintain that flexibility. You be more flexible. It's in prevention of the injury to your lower back. You will have more energy. You're going to feel better. Years ago, I spoken to Dr. William Clancy in the United States, who told me, Tony, you got all this knowledge. You should be training people now and share all your information, all the knowledge which you have with them, so you can pass this on to the other people. And I realized, he was right. That is the reason why I decided to do this program. So I'll be able to help all of you who suffer with back problems, so you'll be able to get over that. And also for those athletes who want to strengthen their stomach and lower back, be able to strengthen it, so you will have a way better foundation, stomach and lower back. Remember, stomach, lower back supports all your upper body, plus the weight you added. My back today is excellent. Why is excellent? Because I maintain the strength of the stomach, lower back. I don't know what the back pain is. You tell me about it. The back pain and discomfort which I used to have many, many years ago before the surgery is in distant memory. I'm sure for those who feel they cannot rehabilitate their back, if I could just take your back, any of you, I am 100% sure I would rehabilitate and then pass it on back to you. Unfortunately, I cannot do that. Everything is in your hands. You have to be consistent and persistent and work gradually at it. You can do it. I believe you can do it. Always just work at your pace at it, and gradually you're going to get there. Thanks for hanging around with us. And remember, take care of your back.